All right, what's up, guys?
What is happening today?
We are talking motivation, drive. Motivation gets thrown around, like you said.
Yeah, let's talk. I wanted to just talk, I had it on my mind this morning, talk about motivation as a metric, because I think people use that as a guide sometimes to like feel how, they're like, how good do I feel? Am I motivated? I don't feel that motivated today, or either that kind of stuff getting thrown around. Or I'll see like YouTube videos that pop up on my feed that's like, the best video for motivation. And like, I think motivation is just a shitty metric.
And it's funny, from doing so many of these podcasts and talking to so many like fitness experts, they're not big on motivation. What they're big on is instilling habits. So when you're unmotivated, the habit keeps you focused and keeps you on track. So I like where you're going with that. You don't necessarily have to be motivated, but if you instill good habits, you tend to keep doing what's meant to be done.
Totally, because I never feel like going to the gym. I never feel like, I'm so excited to go to the gym, See,
I do. I love going to the gym.
I don't. I never feel like that.
And I like the honesty.
Yeah. I never feel like, I'm so excited. I want to go run right now. I'm just like, I got to run. And then I just go and do it. I just put on my shoes and sometimes I feel worse than other times. Sometimes I can just start running right away. Sometimes I got to walk for like a couple minutes, and then I just kind of like, all right, let's go,
Ease into it.
Yeah, but.
So what gets you out the door? What gets your shoes on then?
It's the habit, right? Of just doing it. It's like when you brush your teeth twice a day, you just like, you feel, if you forgot or you didn't brush your teeth, you just feel super weird. Like, I have to brush my teeth. I have to,
Okay.
And you get to that. You start getting obsessed with it, right? It's that habit. You just have to do it. And I think that's what it is too with going to the gym and running. Like, once you just kind of have the habit of just doing it, there's just something that doesn't feel completed in your day until you kind of get that done.
I like that. And also too, like, to make a habit, you got to make something important enough in your life where it's important enough to make that sacrifice to make it a habit.
Sure.
So important enough being brushing your teeth is important enough, because if you don't, your teeth are going to fall out. So it should be the same thing of health, shouldn't it?
Totally.
If I don't exercise, I'm going to become overweight, get unhealthy, and potentially die earlier.
Yeah, 100%.
So that should be a pretty good damn reason.
Well, and now we're going into a deeper thing, right? Like a little more philosophy and psychology of the whole process, right? Like, what's your why,
Yeah.
And like some people's whys are, I think, a little bit surface level, they're just like, I want to feel good. And it's like,
I want to
that's
look good.
bullshit.
I want to look good.
I want to look good. And you're like, not really. Like, how many times do you sit there and actually look at yourself in the mirror? Like, let's be real. Like, I'll be honest, I never look at myself in the mirror. We just finally got a mirror in our room, like a full-length mirror. We haven't had one in probably 11 years. We finally got one recently, and I just use it just to like, the shoes look pretty cool with this shirt or whatever.
And like, do I have toothpaste on my shirt?
Yeah, like it's so like brief.
It's funny. The older I get, the less I look in the mirror.
Yeah.
And I see people younger and they're in the mirror all the time. And the older I get, I'm like, when's the last time have I got something in my teeth? Like, you don't care. Like, you don't worry so much.
No. So
your priorities change.
Yeah. And if you're sitting there and you're working out and that's your goal is just to look good in the mirror, well, okay, but I don't think that's going to be enough to get you motivated when you feel like crap to go to the gym. I just don't think it's going to work.
Or keep it long term, because when you're in 20s, I want to look good.
You got nothing else to do.
You got nothing else to do. No kids, no priorities. Hey, I want to impress this girl. I want to impress this guy. But as you get older, it gets more deep. Your priorities change.
Totally. Opportunity cost,
in
right?
your 40s, right?
Yeah, you got.
I want to live longer. I want to feel better. I want to get out of bed earlier.
What's the point of getting rich if you're not going to be able to like enjoy it?
Yeah, your health is your wealth.
Yeah, and be able to spend time. Like, I look forward to having grandkids. As weird as that sounds, I look forward to that time in my life.
I don't think that's weird at all.
Yeah, and I want to enjoy it with them. I want to be able to go sailing with them and go horseback riding. Like, I don't want to be all like, And
I've seen so many parents where the kid starts running away and they're so overweight that they can't catch the kid.
Yeah.
And that scares me. And the kid's running towards the road and that mom or the dad can't move. And you should be able to catch your kid. You should be able to save your child. You should be able to keep up with your child.
Yeah, at least a little, right? Like, I'm not going to be able to go and play like hockey like my
But I mean, you can move if you have to catch them all.
Totally, yeah. I can play with them. I can go out there. We can throw the ball around. We can have fun, and if we're playing softball or whatever, like, I'd be able to play with him and stuff. But he still has obviously youth on his side. But where's he going to be when he's 43, almost 44 years old, right? Like, those are really big questions. And
yeah, by you being that way, you're trying to instill the fact that he's going to try to copy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Monkey see, monkey do.
Well, he already loves going to the gym. So because we've just always kind of gone, and I've brought him. He's come to the gym. He'll be with me later today. we'll go to the gym.
Which is awesome.
Yeah.
And that's a big thing I say is I like going to the gym. I've been going to the gym 5 days a week for the last 25 years. Full stop. Yeah. Hasn't been any time off. I've never dreaded going to the gym. And I understand that I'm lucky because I love to do that.
Yeah.
Whereas someone else might love to sit down and read, or they got something else that they would never give up no matter what.
Yeah.
I've done martial arts, I've done dancing, I've done different things on and off, but weights has always been 100% staple I've been committed to forever. Yeah. And I'm lucky. And because of that, when I've been drinking, when I've been partying on the weekends, I've always come back on track because gym has been such a priority in my life.
Yep.
But most people don't like that. And even you're saying you don't like going to the gym that much.
I don't, but...
So if you like that,
yeah,
you got to really find a way to make you go, don't you?
Yep, you do. And, part of that was kind of creating... getting my son involved, and my wife she doesn't like to go to the gym either, but she does. She likes the way she feels. So
motivating each other.
Yeah, so you kind of start creating that, like, well, I'm going to the gym. You're like, well,
keeping each other accountable.
Yeah,
keeping each other accountable.
I'll come with you. Yeah, and so like that stuff starts to really become a part of all of our lives, and
then when you go to eat good or eat bad, it helps with that decision too, doesn't it?
Totally, because you're like, man, I put in all this work. It's 3:00 and I've eaten so good all day. Like, why am I going to mess it up now? Like
Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
What's your weakness?
My weakness? I just like desserts, man. Pastries. And,
do you really?
Yeah, like I could probably
like
just
donuts
eat,
or
anything like that. A good scone, donuts.
Gotcha.
I mean, I could do like a donut and coffee and scone, and I could probably do that like all day, But like, and not even eat regular food. But that would be.
But you understand.
Yeah.
There's an app I just came across. It's called Yuka. Yuka. I don't know what the name's about, but it allows you to scan the food and it gives you a rating from 0 to 100.
Oh, that's cool.
And then if it's got preservatives, additives, it tells you what's in it. And then if you click on those additives, it tells you how bad they are for you, if they're good for you, if they're bad for you, and then what it leads to. It's really good. So like if I'm buying something now, I'm like quick scan, I'm like, okay, that's not as good as I thought it was.
Yeah.
I scanned some ranch last night. It was 0 out of 100.
Wow.
Did I buy that? No. It made me go with this. And I mean, I eat healthy 90% of the time, but it made me start to make little better decisions.
Yeah, it's the little details. And that's the big stuff, because we have a friend, a family member. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but, like, they eat a lot of salads, and when you're eating a lot of salads, it sounds great, but when you look at just the sauce that you're putting on it, if you're piling on a bunch of
condiments, right? Yeah,
a bunch of other stuff. Well, you're better off having like a burrito or tacos.
The sugar, right?
Yeah, it's
and
the sugar
salt,
and the salt and all the other preserves they're putting in that stuff to keep it good. The bad eggs or whatever other stuff could be in there, and there's just so many different things that can go into the chemicals that go into sauce, especially if it's off the shelf that you're dumping on there. So you're better off just eating cleaner things.
Yeah, it's being aware of the whole thing, right? Just because you're having a salad doesn't make it like a McDonald's salad is nowhere near healthy.
No,
but it's a salad.
Yeah.
It's just marketing, right?
It is.
It's actually worse than a cheeseburger. I believe it's really.
I believe it.
It's really bad.
Yeah.
It's scary bad.
Yeah, and then throw in like a breaded chicken on top of there, and all of a sudden you're like, woo.
And going back to the motivation, sure. Reading is huge for that, right? Not necessarily for motivation, but to see how other people do things, see different people's routines, see different people's priorities, how they keep how they've built good habits, how they keep good habits, and how they develop new habits. I've learned so much from reading.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, but with reading, you got to develop that curiosity to keep you reading all the time, right?
I was going to say, even reading is a habit, right?
Yeah, and if you're 40, let's say, and you've never read books like really since maybe high school or something like that.
Which, remember I was saying that most people don't.
Yeah, if that's you and you want to start changing your life and changing things and learning and all that stuff, well, you're going to have to kind of create a habit of reading even when it feels really hard, because if you don't read all the time or listen to audiobooks, you might not have the attention span for it. Simple as that.
That's a good point,
that's another
actually.
muscle. So if you're going to try and jump in and read all these books, and we're recommending all these books, and all of a sudden you're like, I just can't even get through. I start reading and I forget what I was reading. It's been like I go through 5 pages, and when you get tired, sometimes that happens. Even when you're listening to an audiobook, sometimes you drift off and you're like, oh crap, I just missed like that whole chapter, and then you just go back and you listen to it again, right?
Or turn it off.
Totally. And it happens. We have moments where we're a little bit more fatigued. Well, if you've never read since high school and you're a little bit older, you're going to have to develop that muscle again. It's going to take some time. So that's going to be one of those things where you might have to develop sort of a habit of reading. Eventually, it won't feel like a habit anymore. You'll just be curious. You'll be able to read more and all that stuff, but that will take some time.
Just a routine you look forward to, isn't it?
Yeah, you're going to have to build your brain muscle up.
I've talked about this before too. I do one thing at a time. If I'm developing a good habit, I do it consistently until it becomes just a staple.
Yeah.
And I won't ever try to develop 2 habits at once. Say it was cold showers, right? I've been doing cold showers for 6 years. It was start one thing at a time. Mm-hmm. Before I know it, it wasn't even like, am I going to do cold today? It was like, no, this is just the way I shower now. There's a guy who talks about, if you quit smoking, you don't say you're a non-smoker. He says, I don't smoke. And subconsciously in your brain, you've kind of made 2 different. You're not like, I don't smoke anymore, thinking I may go back to it. No, I'm not a smoker.
Yeah.
Just a definitive, clean, straight to the point answer. And you can see straight away by saying it 2 different ways, it takes you 2 different directions.
Of course.
I go to the gym. I occasionally go to the gym. Or sometimes I eat well. I eat clean. Like,
yeah.
It's funny what just that little thing can do.
Yeah. Well, you are kind of like reinforcing an identity you're trying to create for yourself, right? That's kind of
changing your blueprint.
Yeah, you're changing your blueprint, because that's a little bit, that's the hard part, is changing who you are inside already, and the
changing those bad habits.
Those subconscious ones that like, well, whatever, I'm gonna do this instead of that. Like, I can do that later, and then later comes and you're like, man, I'm just so tired, I'm gonna do it tomorrow, right? And then tomorrow comes and then the same pattern happens again and again. So you're trying to change that pattern by saying, no, I do this now. Or, I'm going to do it even when I don't want to. And so, yeah.
How do you, we're talking a lot about fitness, but as far as you're working a job you don't like and you want to start your own business, it's always been a thought, or you want to lose weight and you want to get healthier. What does it take for you to take that decision? Usually it's like with health, usually it's a mild heart attack. It's pre-diabetic. It's not fitting in a plane seat. It's something dramatic.
I would say,
how do you do it with business?
Well, with health, let's just start there real quick, because that one's a little bit easier for people to kind of understand. Is either something like that's going to happen really dramatic if you haven't done it already,
if you're lucky,
and it just depends where you are in your life. If you're like in your 20s, it might be a little easier just to start going, just because you got nothing else to do, right? If you're in your 30s and you got a family, well, then it gets a little harder, right? Because you got to pick up kids, and you have to kind of maximize your time a little bit better, and you're gonna have to like figure out where to put it in.
And break away from the environment you're being stuck in.
Yes, you have to figure out a way to do it. There's no real excuse. Everyone has a few minutes, if you find, track your time, figure it out, whatever. But I think the key with, getting whatever you want to call it, motivated, or to creating the habit,
get moving, right? However you want to talk about it.
You're gonna have to find that reason that's important enough for you.
That's your why, right?
Your why has to be big enough. So whether it's like you are so sick of how gross you feel all the time, that could be one, but you really have to be like sick of yourself, right, to make that change. It's
the low of the low. Sometimes it
is. Like, I am, like so grossed out. Like, I really feel just like crap. Like, you don't even feel like taking your shirt off when you're with your partner or whatever. Right? You're starting to feel like, you're like, man, I never felt like that before, but now I feel. And so instead of just like putting it off to the side and going and having a drink and trying to forget about that stuff, like, think about like, why do I feel like this? Like, do you want to feel like that forever? Because
being honest with yourself.
It's only going to get worse.
Yeah, it's not going to get easier,
is
it?
Yeah, the knife doesn't get sharper unless you go and sharpen it. Like,
I like that.
And then as soon as you're not sharpening your knife all the time, it's going to start doling out. So like, you got to kind of keep going.
Get that honest conversation with yourself.
Yes.
Why is this important enough for me to make the sacrifice to get where I want? And if it's not, you're never going to do it, are you? And if that's quit smoking, that's to get exercising, that's to stop drinking. It's got to be either low of a low, or it's got to be some awakening, some health scare, or you got to have a real conversation with yourself. Like, what does it take for me to take true and consistent action? Yeah, it's hard though, right?
It is hard, but like our ancestors who had to just work on farms, or they had to like, wake up in the morning and they felt like shit, but they just got to go to work anyways. Like they just went and did the things they had to do.
It's survival, right?
Yeah, they just went and did it. They didn't like, oh, I don't feel like it today, I'm gonna, take a break. No, they would go and do it anyways, like,
because they had to feed the family, they had to provide for the family,
they had to get ready for winter, they had to start stuff. Like, the life goes on whether you feel like crap or not.
Tony Robbins talks about it a lot. He goes, a lot of depression comes from a lack of purpose.
Yeah.
If you lack purpose, you're going to get depressed, you're probably going to get overweight, you're just going to become stagnant, and your life isn't going to be happy. But as soon as you have purpose, as soon as you have a reason for getting up in the morning, if you don't have a reason to get up in the morning, why do you want to get up? So you got to find what motivates you, what gets you out of bed, what gets you I don't like even using motivated, what gets you excited.
Yeah.
This morning I was excited to get up to do this. That's what gets me excited.
Yeah.
And that may be one small little thing, silly little thing, but if that's what works for me, that's what works for me.
Well, your brain, the way it works is whatever you kind of focus on, it starts to find those things, right? I think it's called the RAS, your reticular activating system. All right, in your brain, you have a specific part of your brain that will help you find things in your life that you are looking for. So, for example, if you decide like, oh, I want this new, Corvette, you're going to start seeing that Corvette everywhere because your brain now is looking for it. Instead of just like kind of zoning out and looking at the clouds, you're going to like spot those Corvettes because your reticular activating system is going to be looking for those things. That works with everything. So if you're looking for one good thing in your life, one good reason to get up in the morning, you're going to find one good reason, but you got to start looking for it, right?
Yeah.
It's like,
I like that. You got to look for it.
You're going to look for it. So if it's like, man, what is one reason to get up today? Like, okay, well, coffee sounds good. Great. Start with coffee, right? That's a great place to start.
That sounds like a good start.
Now you got coffee, right?
Yeah.
Now you've got one thing. And then guess what? You're going to start figuring out other things in your day. And then the next day you might have two things. Man, I liked coffee and I liked when I had that thing with it or whatever, Okay, well now like I really liked having my coffee and then, just kind of getting moving in the morning. Whatever, like little by little, you'll start finding things to get up for in the morning, right?
Little baby steps.
Steps. It doesn't have to be a big deal. Like if you ask somebody on death row, what, or you follow them through their last days of living, a lot of them just completely kind of have a lot of come to Jesus moments where they, realize like, man, I never enjoyed the beautiful sky. I never realized how good my food was. I never took the time to like be in the moment with all this stuff. And that just shows you that we create habits of running from just our own like moment, So if you're depressed and you're feeling that, like start to find one thing, like just one thing that makes you happy.
I like that.
Yeah.
Something comes to mind too is what you're just saying, like appreciating things. When you eat cleaner, you appreciate your donuts and your bakeries.
You do. You really do. Yeah.
I've busted my butt at the gym the last 3 days. I don't train today. I'm appreciating the fact that I'm not going to the gym today. I love going to the gym, but I'm appreciating the fact my body's sore and I'm tapped out and I'm not doing anything today.
Yep.
I'm doing whatever I want to do today.
Yeah. I've done a lot of stuff where, I will eat just clean like 6 days a week, and then that 7th day I kind of allow myself to have like whatever, like if I want pancakes in the morning, like I want to enjoy that stuff too. And you're right, by doing that I didn't feel like I was like punishing myself. What it felt like is like more like a trophy for myself,
like a reward, right?
You did it. Like,
hey, I earned this.
Have whatever you want.
Yeah,
dude. Yeah,
go nuts.
Yeah.
But then the next day or the next meal, you're back on track, and that's that.
Yeah.
But from experience, you appreciate bad food so much more.
Totally.
Yes and no, because when you eat really clean for a long time, you have it, it's great. And then you're like, oh my God, I feel awful.
Yes, that's true. There's that side of it. Yeah. Totally.
But I find by doing that, it's so good because you're like, I don't want to have pizza again for a couple of weeks because it was good.
You enjoyed the first like couple, the
at
instant
first it's
gratification,
good.
and then like a couple hours later, you're like,
dude,
dang, I feel like so tired.
You feel like sleeping.
Going
like,
on, yeah.
I probably didn't need this.
That's true,
all.
and that's the same thing. Like if I eat pancakes whatever in the morning, I'm just tired all day. I'm just like, But it was a nice treat, and then that's it. It's time to get back on it. So
there's a thing. So there's a thing Gary Vee talks about. He's like talking about if you're in a job that you don't like, but you obviously got to make money. You got family, you got rent, you got bills, you got a car payment. You've got to find, if you want to start working for yourself, what he recommends is to work your full-time job. When you get out of work, you start hustling on your side income. And until that side income replaces your full-time income, that's how you kind of transition. So I think like relating to the business side of it, how to get motivated, how to get on track, you need to understand it's small little steps, and the more you put in on the more you put in on it, the quicker that's going to happen. Mm-hmm. But sometimes it takes a point where I'm so sick of my boss being on my case. I hate my job. I work at Starbucks. I'm so sick of people being rude to me. I've got this skill and I know I can do it, but what I'm getting at is what gives you that push? How do you get those habits? Is it being at a lower gain? Is it just one day you're just like, I'm so sick of my boss?
I think it's probably different for everyone. I think the hardest part is breaking who you currently are. You might have some skill that, or something that you want to do, which I 100% think I'd rather somebody try than never try at all. Like if you try and fail, you're going to learn a lot, you're going to grow, you're going to feel different, and you'll never look back at that and go, well, I didn't try. And that's the regret part is going to kill you in the end.
But you also don't need to jump in, quit your job.
You don't need to go 100%.
You can ease your way in, right?
Yes. Yes, I do think so. But you have to always kind of, everyone's in a different situation. If you're in your 20s, I'd say go for it. Like, what are you going to do? Like, you can waste your whole 20s. I really agree with Gary Vee on that.
Yeah, even your 30s.
Even your 30s, you could probably screw. I mean, I'm, in my 40s and I'm starting to do completely different things than I did.
I feel like even your 40s, that's the thing, right? So, sorry, I don't mean to cut in. It's just like, if you're making $30,000 a year in a job, and your 20s, your 30s, you're making even $50,000 and then in your 40s, you start working for yourself and you figure it out, and all of a sudden you're making $100,000, $200,000. That adds up so quick.
Yeah,
you're making more money you did in 1 year than you were in 3 to 6 years. That adds up very, very quickly, doesn't it? And from experience, going from making that 20 grand a year to like a lot more, it doesn't really matter when you do it.
Yeah.
And if you're not living above your means, you're living below your means, you're able to save, you can get ahead very quickly. I feel like it's never really too late.
Yeah. Well, I do think we're in a time where there's so much possibility right now. There's so many ways to make money, and
social media, the internet, we're so connected now. There's so many ways to get in front of people if you're creative and you're willing to do some work, and there's so much opportunity right now. And to not try to do whatever it is you want to do right now would be silly. It's absolutely crazy,
just
right?
Go for it. Like, what is it going to do? And to your point about age, as far as like, I think 40, like as far as millionaires becoming millionaires or something, I think most millionaires don't become millionaires until their 40s and up.
And up, right?
Yeah.
I think it's actually a very small percentage in the 40s.
My opinion on that, as far as like with men goes, is we're just so concerned with relationships and girls and stupid stuff that doesn't really like
100%. I wasted so much time chasing girls and doing stupid stuff.
Thinking about girls or thinking about this or how it's just.
I saw something recently. It's like guys don't start succeeding till their 40s because they stop chasing girls.
Yeah.
In the first 20 years, that's all they're doing.
Sure.
And you waste so much time and effort.
Yeah. And I mean, I was lucky. I met my wife, I was 27 when we first met.
Yeah, I was going to say, unless you get married earlier.
And so when we got married, I was 30. And so I actually feel like it's funny how that works. But, she really just helped me focus on everything. I just focused on all the things I wanted to do. All of a sudden, I just felt different. And now I just feel like so different than I did, pre my wife, I guess you could say. But, when you have a good person around you too, it really helps you kind of like, be the better version of yourself.
So let's touch on, so you're working your job, you go to school, you want to ease into this business. Say you're working 40 hours during the week. When you get home, you're on the internet, you can be on your phone, you can be posting, you can start to build some momentum very, very slowly without overstressing yourself, right?
Yeah. I mean, anytime that you feel the urge to look at your social media, to go on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, anytime you have any of those urges, just replace it with searching or learning something about your business.
Absolutely, right?
That's it. Just start doing that. What'll start happening is, again, your RAS, your reticular activating system will fire up, and you'll start just looking for things because you'll start getting the habit of just researching things about your business. All of a sudden you get to a point where you kind of have like at least a feeling, or you'll see a kind of at least the next 2 steps of the process. You're not going to ever see the whole process. You're never going to say, oh, I want to do this, and then you're going to go, I know exactly how it's going to happen. Maybe there's somebody out there, I've never met anybody or know anybody that knows the whole process.
Nor would you want to. What's the fun of that?
Like it's a boring trip, right?
Yeah.
Because really,
the journey is so much more rewarding.
Totally, and it's fun to not know what's happening, okay? So you kind of just start the process with knowing maybe the first couple steps, maybe even just the first step. And then you take it. You're going to take the first step, and all of a sudden you'll be like, oh, I see the next step. And then you'll take the next step. And little by little, you might take a couple wrong steps, but all that's going to help you kind of figure out the next process, right?
Absolutely. If you're working at Starbucks, you're doing 40 hours, and you want to be a photographer, just start offering free shoots after work on the weekends.
Yeah.
Get your practice in. Start posting your photos. Before you know it, someone's going to book, and don't charge too much. Hey, it's $50 a session. It's $100 a session.
I would just do free photos, and then they'll be online. If you want to buy them, buy them. If not,
well, not even that. It shows your work.
Yeah.
So like, if I reach out to you, like, hey, would you like a free family shoot? You guys, yeah, why not?
Yeah.
I post a picture. The next family sees it. Like, hey, how do I book you? Yeah. There's $100 extra in your pocket. You're now making $10 an hour at Starbucks or a job like that. I'm not picking on Starbucks, by the way. It's just an example. You're making $10 an hour in a job, customer service, and now you just made $100 in an hour.
Yeah.
You literally just made 10 hours in. So you got your full-time job, and now you got your side hustle. And then a couple months later, you get a couple bookings on the weekend. And you're slowly starting to see the transition, how it's possible.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, you're a full-time photographer. You're making 3 times what you were. You're doing what you love. It's just, it's that simple.
It is that simple. It really is that simple. And then there's going to be a point where you're going to have like a tipping point where you're going to realize, like, I can't take on any more bookings, you know, without decreasing time over here. So either you're going to go part-time at your full-time job, right? Or you're going to have to kind of make that hard call. Can I save up enough money to just quit and then go for it? Or, you know, like...
Or I can start charging more because I'm in more demand.
Start charging more.
And you keep that solid base and the medical and all that.
Exactly. Or you start charging more till you figure out, like, okay, I can't charge anymore. I start, like, my calendar isn't getting as full, right? And that's what we do with, like, rentals, like short-term rentals. It's the same thing. We kind of figure out what is the most we can charge before people are, like, not happy with it anymore, right?
It's a fine line, right?
It is.
And you're constantly pivoting.
And it moves. And it moves. But
I want to ask you a question, actually. So for me, as working for myself, photographer, videographer, once I had savings behind me and I had a safety net, I was good. Working for myself, if I didn't make money for a month, not that ever happens, but if it did happen, I was good.
Yeah.
And that was the biggest thing I could possibly tell other people, is to get as much money behind you as possible. Kind of like a safety net, like 3 to 6 months of expenses saved. So if shit hits the fan, you're good. Sure. Were you like this? Are you the same way when you started businesses, or did you go all in and like use all your savings, or have you always had that safety net to?
Yeah, we kind of always. I mean, I always had a sort of a safety net, I guess you could say. We always had income, like, you know, that's the cool thing of when you have a really good partner too, you know.
Yeah, you said your wife bringing money.
Yeah, she kind of was always she likes doing what she's doing. She's happy.
What happens if you didn't have her and you're doing it by yourself? Would you recommend having some type of nest, or you recommend just jumping in and?
I think it totally depends on your situation.
Okay.
I really do, because if you have a child or anything like that, then you need a safety net. Like you can't, now you're not just doing it for you, and you can't be like just living in a van with your kid. Like, you know what I mean? Like you got to feed, you have responsibilities now, so you're going to have to man up, and you're going to have to be a little more patient.
I think a big thing I'm getting at is, like, when I started, it wasn't like that. But it was like, rather than go buy this new camera and get this and spend more money, I'm going to put some more money behind me to get some more security in case.
Yeah.
It's prioritizing where that money was going. And the more money I put behind me, the more comfortable I got, the more I was able to start marketing, spending time, outsourcing things. It gave me leverage. It gave me a better position to grow, I guess.
Yeah. I think that's a little bit personal, right?
And also to not work back.
Yeah. Because, for example, a lot of the people in the short-term rental world that, you know, like to have up to 6 months of expenses saved up for the property, right? So if the property costs, let's say $5K a month, they want to have, you know, $5K a month for 6 months, you know, like they want to have that $35,000 sitting in there. And that's fine. I'm cool with 3. You know, even I'm cool if it drops down to 2.
Okay.
But that's just me.
That's a personal thing.
Yeah, it's a personal thing. Because this is my thoughts are this: if it's not booking enough, what am I doing? What am I doing wrong to not get it to be booking? Right now, I'm just more active, I guess, on there too with like my pricing, and I kind of look around on there and I see what's going on, and if I'm just more active on there. And I think that a lot of people just kind of set it and kind of forget it. And then they're like, I don't know what happened. It hasn't booked that much. And you're like, well, your pictures have been updated in 3 years, and your pricing's been the same. And you haven't even touched that in 3 years. Like, well, like the world's always changing. Things are just changing. So you kind of at least have to. So I think it changes, and everyone's a little different, and your situations are different. Like if you're 20 and you have nothing else going on, and you can live off of top ramen and
ramen
and a van with a bed in it and stuff, like go for it. Like you don't need savings really.
Something that comes to mind too, it's like something I've learned: if it's not costing you money, don't spend the money. So like as a photographer, there's a new drone that just came out, there's a new camera, there's a new lens. Do I need that, or do I want that? And when I really stopped and understood the difference, and I was like, there's a new camera out there, but it's not going to help me make any more money right now. In the future, it might be fine, but right now, I don't need it. I'd rather take that $2,000, put it in savings, so if a rainy day happens, I'm okay. If I want to start running Facebook ads, I've got money to do that. If a client comes to me and they're literally offering me half what I'm charging, I can say no. You're not I don't like to say slave, but you're not a slave to like what someone wants to pay you, right? You're more in control because you're in a better financial position where you're not getting nickeled and dimed. So what I'm getting at is, do I need it or do I want it? Is this costing my business money, or do I just want it? If it's something that, hey, if I buy this, I'm able to make more money, absolutely, for sure. Like setting up a studio at my house made me so much more money. Small investment, but I was able to make more money by doing so.
Sure, that's important. And I would say most businesses probably have a lot of struggles and don't scale or grow because of that. They just buy them, I'm going to buy the nicest interior, I'm going to do the nicest camera.
You get excited, right?
Yeah, of course.
It's like with your rally business, like you could have gone out and bought brand new WRXs, but you probably looked around, you found secondhand ones, you probably fixed them up, and you probably bought one at a time. You didn't just you know what I'm getting at.
I know exactly what you're getting at. So you kind of like people, when you really need it, when you absolutely need it, then it's probably time to buy it.
And it's going to allow you to make more money by doing that.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly what I'm getting at.
There's really no point in buying a bunch of stuff and getting all the fancy, stuff until it's needed.
And it can be secondhand. It can be used. It doesn't need it's baby steps. It's stepping stones. You don't need to all of a sudden be like competing with the person been doing it for 10 years overnight.
I mean, like you can go all in on a podcast system, for example.
A perfect example.
You can spend, probably like 10 grand if you really want to have a beautiful, crazy, all the setup. Or you can just get one of those little recorders and just set it down with a decent little microphone on it.
Or your phone, a little
Zoom
tripod.
recorders, like $100, and you could do the same podcasting and the same, like, yes, the quality of the audio is probably not going to be like as good, but it doesn't matter.
People are going to listen to what you're saying.
If the podcast is good, they're going to listen.
Full stop.
Yeah,
I love that. What else as far as like motivation, habits?
There's a lot of, I mean, maybe this isn't the algorithm to me, but I'm seeing a lot of just conversations about, being a man and being whatever. And it's a funny conversation, that was never had before, but now I feel like as a society, we're just kind of questioning everything, what's a woman, what's a man, what's this, what's that. And I think being a man is just doing the stuff you have to do even when you don't want to do it. That's just what I think it is, like to man up and all that, like all that stuff, that's really what I think it means. And that doesn't mean that women can't do the same thing, but it's like, that's what it means. Like when people talk about what it means to be a man in a world where, well, take responsibility, do the things you don't want to do, go to the gym when you don't want to go, pay your child support when you don't want to pay it, whatever it is, like, that's part of the process.
And there's something that, like, I feel like it's not very hard to stand out in today's society, because I feel like a lot of people lack the basic things. So what comes to mind for me is integrity.
Yeah.
Do what you say you're going to do 100% of the time.
Yeah.
Number 2, be punctual. Always be on time. Never leave someone else waiting. Always be on time. If you're not early, you're late. And number 3 is to treat people the way you want to be treated. They're the 3 things that I like. This is a staple of me. It's who I represent. It's what I'm 100% diligent on all the time.
Yeah.
And if I was to touch on number 4, it would be, if you're in the wrong, admit it quickly. Hey, I was late because I didn't leave the house early enough. Yeah, there was a car crash. The traffic got delayed by 20 minutes, but that's not the traffic's fault. That's my fault. I should have left earlier.
Yeah.
Or, hey, I didn't know where I was going. Hey, I had a week to prep the work, figure out where I was going. I can check the map. I can see how long it's going to take. It's 5:30 in the day. It's probably likely to be traffic. Be an adult and take accountability for yourself, right?
Yep.
And I feel like those 3 things will get you so far ahead in life, because I feel like most people lack those simple things.
Yeah, it's very strange, but it's true.
It's really true, right? Even our age.
Yeah, even our age, it's just not common, And I mean, like our conversation, we have barely talked at all about even meeting today. We're like, hey,
but you're just going to be here, right?
Like, yeah, I just figured I'm going to be here because I responded yes, and
it doesn't need to be triple checked. And are you still just do what you say you're going to do.
Yeah.
Full stop.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
It's really that simple.
If you're going to help someone move, or you're going to help someone be a business, or you're going to read that book, and that applies to you too.
Yes.
Byron, who I had on, who's like the fitness expert, he's like, I hold myself accountable. Mm-hmm. That is the most important thing to me, is I do what I say I'm going to do, because I don't want to let myself down.
That's how you build true confidence. That's the number one way to build confidence. If you're
I really
not a
like that, right?
guy, if you're not a confident guy, my bets are that you don't do what you say you're going to do from day to day.
To yourself. You let yourself down.
Yes. And so that naturally creates this like little feedback loop inside your brain, inside your mind, of like, well, you didn't do it yesterday, or you're shitty, or whatever, and you just don't feel confident. But little by little, if you just say, I'm going to do this, you're going to wake up, you're not going to want to do it. But if you just go and do it anyways, you're going to feel a little bit better about yourself. And then you go and do something else that you're supposed to do.
I love that. So you're building confidence internally.
That is how you build confidence.
Love that.
That's the real way to build confidence.
I like that. And
because you start to rely on yourself, and you know that if no one else shows up, you will, right? So
and then you can start to love yourself too. You get proud of who you are. You like who you are. I like who I am. Yeah. Therefore, I like who I am. I like me as a person, and I don't mean in a weird way. I'm proud of who I am.
Yeah.
And because of that, I don't care what anyone else thinks of me, because I know I'm a good person and I know where I'm trying to go.
Yeah.
And that also feeds into that, doesn't it?
100%. Totally. Like that we are, you're in your own head. Like you are you in your own head, and the whole world that you see is all filtered through your philosophies and your ideas and your thoughts and your feelings.
And the way you talk to yourself.
Yeah, and your feelings are going to be predicated a little bit on just how you look at the world. So if you feel good about yourself, you're naturally going to look at the world a little better. You're going to feel better about the world. You're going to feel more confident that things will work out because you trust in yourself showing up. So it's all those things.
It's interesting, isn't it? When you really stop and think about it.
It really starts it's personal, so much more personal than people realize. And a lot of people are just out there, and we're on here talking on camera, and we're out there in the social media world, and people are looking for gratification from other people outside of themselves.
Validation, right?
They're looking for validation.
Yeah.
They're looking for validate yourself. They're looking for, well, I didn't get that many likes. I don't have that many followers. And then it goes even deeper than that. Like, oh, he didn't look at me. Everyone starts making up rules, on how the world looks at them, when in reality, the world doesn't even think about you at all.
At all.
At all.
At all.
Yeah.
You're so small in this
so
time.
Small.
And that's what traveling and things gives you better perspective on how small you really are.
Yep.
There's only 330 million people in this country, and you're one person out of that.
Yeah.
One person.
Yeah. And
you go to India, you're one person out of a billion. You go to China, you're one person out of 1.4 billion.
Yeah.
You're nobody. Nobody cares about you.
No. And then you zoom out, and like you're on this tiny little rock. And then you zoom out more, and you're in this little galaxy, and you can keep zooming out forever. And what do you become? Just dust, cosmic dust, like in the grand scheme of things. So like when you, on the flip side of that, you mean something to some people, right?
Absolutely.
But those people are probably the ones you don't care to get like feedback from.
Yeah. And they're the ones you're generally the rudest to, too,
yes,
right?
Because you know they're going to be there for you. And you probably put them off because, well, they're just part of my family. Like, they're an arm. Well, I'm not going to wear them on my arm. It's just there, right? I'm not going to, like, think about what it thinks or what it feels, you know? But your family, certain people in your life, I'm sure everybody has one person or something that would miss them. And if they don't have some person, well, they would have that person if they just like love themselves a little more. All of a sudden everyone else would start loving them too, you know. And then you become important to few people, and that's all you need. That's all you need. That. You know. Give
me 3 habits that you have instilled on a consistent basis in your life that helps with your motivation, the way that you hold yourself accountable, and it's added value to your life. Like, what comes to mind?
One is hijacking other habits that I've already had. So, like,
what do you mean by that?
So, like, if I wake up in the morning, right, and I used to just have to, I would just eat every morning. Like, I would always have to have, like, you know, either cereal and, you know, some eggs or toast and eggs. Like, I always have to eat this big, like, I always have to eat something right away.
Yeah.
You know? And instead of doing that, I would replace it, and it wasn't easy at first, of course, but I would just have an extra cup of coffee. I'd have 2 cups of coffee instead of just instead of just eating food. So
why did you want to stop eating food?
I wanted to start fasting a little bit longer in the mornings. You know? My metabolism was not at all what it used to be, you know.
So you found yourself getting like a little fluffier than you were.
Yeah, I just kept getting fluffier. And I was tracking my calories a little bit, so I realized I was just having way too many calories. And the easiest thing to do is just not eat in the morning. And it also made me a little bit sleepy after eating in the morning.
Which it does, especially that type of thing.
Yeah, and I wanted to be ready to go a little bit more mentally, you know. And so I just decided, you know what? I love coffee. I can easily have just another cup of coffee, and let's just see how that works. And then, you know, I learned about bulletproof coffee, and then throwing a little butter in there, and cinnamon, and then my MCT oil, and little by little.
So fasting is a habit you do every day now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and then so I just kind of hijacked my food with just adding another cup of coffee, I guess you could say.
But I mean, if that's what it is.
But if that's what it is, and like little stuff like that, you know what I mean? And you would just change like the way you look at things, like, oh man, that sounds good, you know, or whatever. And you would just kind of, I guess it comes down to awareness, right? You have to be a little bit aware about what thoughts you're having. And so,
but also making like that sacrifice a priority over the long, like to the benefit, right?
Yeah.
By sacrificing here, I'm going to get the benefit of being skinnier, feeling better, looking better, living longer.
Yeah, I would say that the word sacrificing is probably not the best.
It's a little bit extreme.
That wouldn't work for me. I like to look at it like I would just basically, like when it came to eating certain foods, I would just say, this is just what I can eat. This is like my menu, and that's it.
Okay.
Like, I don't look at what I'm sacrificing, or I don't think about like, oh, I'd really like to have, I just go,
it's what you're gaining, and this is what you do.
I wouldn't look at anything else. I just kind of like, you know, just look at, this is what I got. And
what's another habit? So you've got the fasting. What else have you? Like reading, exercising?
I try, I would say 90% of the time I bookend my days. So like I kind of just like in the morning, I try to have a few minutes just to myself. You know, we have kids and they are all busy, and we have so much stuff going on all the time that it's really nice to kind of just like have a moment in the morning to myself.
Yeah.
Where I write down like things that I'm going to do that day.
Okay, so like to-do lists.
Yeah.
I do the same thing.
And that just kind of starts getting my mind going on, okay, like, you know, getting this day and getting something out of this day.
And isn't it rewarding when you knock them off and at the end of the day they're all done?
Yeah.
It helps build your confidence.
And I'm a to-do list guy. I mean, me and my wife always joke about it. Like, if she wants something down, she got to put it on a to-do list, you know.
But it's a good feeling, and it boosts your confidence when you knock things off. You're like, oh wow, like I did everything I said I was going to do.
Yeah. And I like it too because it takes away some of the thoughts and thinking process, so I can kind of just get it done. And then, you know, my mind can be excited about, have energy to be curious about books or learning.
Okay.
So, and then every day I'm always trying to learn something about what I'm doing. So whether it's real estate or business or social media or whatever, I'm trying to learn something.
All right. So I think like for me, like 3 biggest habits that I've developed, I would say reading is probably number 1. It's probably the most beneficial thing I've ever done in my entire life as far as just fitness, health, business, no excuse, the way I treat people, 2 ears and 1 mouth, listen twice as much as I speak, taking action, not making excuses, not complaining. So for me, every time I'm in the car, every time I'm at the gym, if I'm editing photos, back in the day when I was walking around the streets delivering pamphlets to build my personal training business, whatever, any chance I had to have education in my ears, I would do that. And now it's a daily thing where between 2 to 4 hours a day, I'm listening to audiobooks, podcasts, and I cannot tell you how much it's dramatically changed my life and me as a person.
That goes back to hijacking habits. Like if you find yourself, looking at a lot of social media, you're watching movies, you're watching shows, you've got your Netflix show or whatever, you're just doing a lot of that stuff, you're going to have to just like hijack that. And, if you want to achieve this or you want to be that, then maybe when you feel that urge, like, oh, I'm going to go sit down and watch that Netflix, you know what? I'm going to watch that video I've been meaning to watch about business building.
Right? Yeah, you're right.
You got to hijack that, and just switch it and go
if you want to be this certain person, you need to develop these certain habits to become that person.
Totally.
All these certain skills, and flicking through social media isn't going to do that.
Yep.
But saying that, I use social media, but what I do is I follow Grant Cardone, Gary Vee.
Yeah.
And by following those people, more of those people start to come up.
Correct.
And I'll make sure I engage, I comment on the people that I want to see more of. So now, rather than seeing like people shaking their butt, it's educational. And just by flicking through social here and there, not that I use social much as outside of business, but when I do, I'm getting so much education. I'm sharing these around with friends.
Same.
It's great, right?
Yeah,
it can actually be really good.
It is. Or you'll find someone that's talking about a podcast about something like RV parks, which I've always been interested in, and you click on them, and all of a sudden they've got a bunch of information on it. They got videos, and you're like, oh, cool. Like,
I'll read this book. I'll snapshot the book, and that's the next book I'll read.
Yeah, but I think that takes time. If you're already like addicted to learn, doing certain things on there, you have to kind of just hijack it. I don't think it's going to be that easy to be on there and already be, like my 17-year-old, on TikTok. I'm sure all his stuff's just stupid stuff, right?
Yeah.
So like, no, I guess I can't say it's stupid stuff, but it's all stuff
that's important to him at the time.
It's important to him right now, but I bet you it's not really serving what he wants, So, because he wants certain things out of life. He wants to go to business school and play hockey, and I'm sure a lot of it's probably not serving some of that stuff. Some of it maybe is, some of it's not. Anyways, if you are just kind of find yourself just on there going down the rabbit hole, and all of a sudden you're like reading some random article about aliens landing, whatever, like, you know what I mean? Like,
no, I get it.
Then that's a good indication of maybe we need to hijack that habit with something else. We need to just kind of like, anytime you're about to get on that phone or you find yourself doing that, you need to
like that.
Pick up the book.
Another habit of mine would be the gym. And the best thing about the gym, like I said, I've been doing it 5 days a week since I was 17. I'm now 42. So it's 25 years. Can't believe it's been 25 years. But by doing that, when I've been young and I partied on the weekend, Monday morning, back at the gym, I got friends going out a couple of days in a row. I would go out one night. I'm like, no, I'm not going to do multiple days because I want to be back at the gym. By going to the gym and keeping that healthy habit, now every time I go to eat, I'm like, what's the point of eating McDonald's if I'm going to the gym? So that would help with my food decisions.
Yep.
That would allow me to sleep better. All these little things, just by having that one staple on a consistent basis, has allowed so many other beneficial things to come with that without me even knowing that.
Yeah.
Not having heartburn, not getting indigestion, not burping, not all these things that most people think is a regular, normal occurrence is BS. You don't need to feel that way.
That's funny that you say that, because I recently, last couple months, I had more indigestion than normal. And I started realizing, that it was because I had a little extra fat. And the way my pants or whatever were sitting, or whatever, it was giving me more indigestion randomly. And I realized, and I started doing some research and reading, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's probably because I got too much, I'm a little overweight than what I normally am.
The healthier you get.
And then I started going, I I already cut like 10 pounds. And voila, like my indigestion's, I haven't even thought about it until you just brought it up right now.
That's what I'm getting at. You don't even think about it, right?
Yeah.
And I know for me, if I drink soda, I burp straight away.
Yeah.
100% of the time I will burp when I have soda. Guess how often I have soda? I never have soda.
Yeah.
Do I ever burp from water? No, I never will, because your body's getting what it's meant to have.
Yeah.
You're not putting something foreign into it, so therefore it's not acting in a foreign way. So exercise I just cannot stress how many positive things come from that.
Totally.
And then the mindset that comes from exercise relates to business 100%. Those two are just, it takes time, consistency. You can't point the finger. You can't blame it. You can't make excuses. You can't blame other people. Oh, my parents didn't teach me. It's the exact same mindset with fitness and weight loss as it is business.
Yeah.
The more I read, the more I educate, the harder I work, the luckier I get. It all relates back to business.
That's true.
And then the third biggest habit for me would be fasting. Fasting, when I was 39, I started fasting, and I would say that's probably the number one thing as far as my health.
Yeah.
And it was hard for me. It broke every misconception I've ever been taught to believe. You got to eat every 2.5, especially me being 220 pound, like weightlifting type guy. You got to eat every 2.5 hours. If you don't eat, you're going to lose muscle. If you're not walking to the gym with a protein shake and walking out with a protein shake, having a post-workout meal, you're not going to grow. You're going to lose muscle. You're going to have atrophy. And I realized it's all BS. The less you eat, the healthier you become, the better you feel. I still weigh the same. I stay leaner. I stay healthier. It's nearly easy. It's like this cheat code, but this cheat code has been around for thousands of years.
Yeah.
It isn't sexy. It isn't. There's no money in it. Fasting isn't sexy, but you and I both do it. We're in our 40s and we'd love it, right?
Yeah.
It's a staple, and I will never stop.
Yeah, I won't either. I mean, I'm probably going to do another 3-day fast soon.
Yeah, you like your prolonged fast, right?
Yeah, I do. I do those here and there, and it just feels so much better for months after. I just have
You look so healthy after a prolonged fast too,
I feel cleaner. My body feels, everything just, I don't know. I feel like I'm firing a lot better. My brain's working a lot faster, and it also does some other things in my life which I didn't realize it would do. But like whenever you get that sense of you're
like
just kind of like,
you're in control, right?
It's okay. I don't I used to get hangry, I get hungry. I'm like, I have
shaky,
to eat. Yeah. Even my wife, she would laugh at me and she'd be like, "Uh-oh, you're hungry. We got." She's feeling it too. Like looking for food. What are we gonna eat? Yeah. And it's like now it's like whatever. I'm good. Like it's not a big deal.
You're in complete control, right?
Yeah. I don't feel worried about it at all. Like I know that I can go another 3 days, right? Like so. I'm like
you become free.
Yeah.
It's the most freeing feeling when you're not dictated by your next meal.
Yeah.
I would literally leave the house this morning. Okay, I'm going for 6 hours. I'm going to need to eat now, and I'm going to have to take 2 meals with me.
Yeah, you got your bag of food.
Yeah, and I'm going to have food ready for when I get home.
Mm-hmm.
That's not living.
No.
It sucks.
Yeah.
And I did it for 20 years of my life. It sucks. And now I walk out the door like you do, have my coffee, and I'll eat when I want to eat, and it's not going to make any difference.
Yeah. I
train for an hour doing weights, busting my butt, fasted. I will not eat for 5-6 hours after I train. Doesn't make any difference.
Yeah, and there's no exact like science or numbers behind it. There is science behind it, but like if I'm hungry, it's one thing. But if I notice my blood pressure's a little bit, because you can kind of tell, you're like, man, I feel a little like.
You start to be able to read your body better, right?
Yeah, I'm like, I think I need to eat some.
And like you're saying too, like 60 to 70% of your energy goes into digesting food. Yeah. So if you're always eating, you're always digesting food, you never have that same clarity, you never have that same energy. And you said it before, like you just feel like you got better clarity, better energy, because your body's now able to give that to you.
It's ready to perform.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how settling is it to wake up in the morning on an empty stomach? Like now it's 11 o'clock. I've been fasting for probably 16 hours already. I'll probably do a 20-hour fast today. You feel so settled. It's such a beautiful feeling.
No, you don't feel bloated. You kind of feel ready. And even going to the gym, you would think you would feel like super
flat or something, right?
Yeah, like super flat, but you don't. Now, on a 3-day fast, the 3rd day, you will start feeling flat. I will be.
But everybody's different too, because I've read stuff where some people they get into deep ketosis after 3 days and they start to feel better than ever. So it's sometimes it's 2 days, sometimes it's 5 days. Everyone's different.
But I was going to the gym every day when I did a 3-day fast.
And that's the
That's the rub. Like
sometimes they say just if you're gonna do a prolonged fast, don't do any exercise.
Yes.
Or just do it for the first day.
I was just curious, I guess.
And I was the same. I trained on my 3-day fast too.
Yeah.
And I know, and other things I've read, like, hey, you probably should just kind of like when you talked about going away and when you the Buddhist thing you're talking about.
Yeah.
You're going there for a reason.
Yeah.
Sometimes a prolonged fast should be for a reason of calm and chilled and letting your body settle.
Yeah, and regenerate and all that stuff. I agree. But I was just curious. I was like, I wonder if, and because I never felt it when I do my intermittent fasting. And so on the third day, I did feel it. I was gassed, man. I just couldn't, I was trying to do my warm-up jog and I was like, ooh, man, and I got out, I tried to do some weights and I was just like, ooh, man. I was like, all right, I'm gonna go.
But it's fun to experiment on yourself, right?
Of course, because everyone's a little different.
I feel like nobody really experiments. Nobody questions anything. No one tries anything new.
Yeah.
Like I'm doing keto. I'm doing fasting. I'm doing prolonged fasting. I'm doing carbs. I've done 6 meals. I've do cold showers. I do saunas. Just play around
with it. And I mean, I guess I treat my body a little bit like a race car. I kind of curious to see where
if my feet are good, can I run faster?
Yeah, can I run faster? Does this do that? Like, it's true. Like if I have 3 cups of coffee, then I start to notice that I just don't feel as good. I get a little too
wired.
Yeah, too wired, and like I start to feel almost like sleepy. It's very strange, but so I started to find like where's my my performance come in, and 2 cups of coffee is pretty good for me in the morning.
Self-awareness, right?
Yeah,
like the bulletproof coffee. Oh my god, for me that's just like game changer.
Yeah,
I was like,
totally.
Not just the stimulant, but to have the fat fuel on top of that. Yep. I'm like, well, let's go. This is great.
Yeah, that really helped just like keep me a little more satisfied in the morning. I just didn't feel hungry at all.
And no matter what happens to you, you're going to get naysays. Hey, fasting's bad, keto's bad, this is bad, you should lift weights this way. And Cordell and I talk about this a lot. You just got to do for you. Find what works for you. Mind your own business. Don't let anyone else, unless someone generally has more education on that and they're trying to help you. But that's very rare.
Well, yeah, and I never feel like I know everything. I just feel like I know more than I did before, right? And that's like, I don't feel like, I've got it figured out. No, I just know a little more than I did before. Like I'm not the guy to give you, And
you got to go through it yourself to know that, right?
And there's you can't put everyone into one like category too. Like, yeah, I'm intermittent fasting and I'm doing all this stuff. But I'm not like trying to be a professional bodybuilder doing competition. Yeah. So like that's a whole different.
Yeah, you're not trying to put 50 pounds of muscle on.
I'm not trying to do triathlons right now. I'm not trying to like those are all different goals. Like I don't think you can do 3-day fasting if you're doing, you're trying to train for a triathlon. Like I don't think you can do that. I think you need to eat all the time. You're going to be burning so many calories that you're going to literally wither away. I do think there's just, where are you and what are you doing, and like all that stuff has to do with, I'm talking just on general life and day-to-day living and going to the gym for 45 minutes to an hour doing some basic stuff. I intermittent fasting works great for me, right?
And that's just developing good habits that all kind of works together with the business, the health, kind of the full circle, isn't it?
Yeah, and I feel like that's the thing right now. Everyone's got the answer, and I don't think that's fair.
I like that.
Yeah, like that's not fair because there is no one answer for all things. There's so many different ways to skin a cat, as they say, and you got to be careful of like not falling into the trap. Like, well, he said this, and this is, well, yeah, but like, where's his background? What is he referring it to? Where is he coming from? There's so much,
different body shape, fast twitch, slow twitch,
bone structure. Length
mindset,
of legs, like
the way you learn.
Totally.
It's so, everyone's so different, and you got to understand that.
And someone has done what you're trying to do. I agree with that, but maybe you could do it a different way too. Like there's not just one answer. So, be careful of falling to just dogmas, I guess, of it all, and just keep learning and
learn and experiment for yourself, right?
There was a good book actually, just to go back on books. It was a Mark Manson book. It's not The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck.
Yeah.
Okay. That book was a great book to kind of give you an idea of like, what? We only know a little more than we knew before. We, even as a humanity, there is not one person on earth that has all the answers. There isn't.
No.
There's not one person. We collectively have more answers than we did 100 years ago. You know, we know a lot more than we did.
Yeah.
But do we know everything yet? We still don't.
Never will.
Yeah, we might never, we never will.
Mm.
And I think sometimes people fall into the, you know, to like two categories as far as this goes. One category, everyone feels like somebody already figured everything out, you know, and no one's told us yet.
Yeah.
You know, or then there's the other one, like no one knows anything, they're wrong, or, you know, and it's like, we're kind of a little bit of everything all the time, you know?
And then even with business, just because it's always been done this way, it doesn't need to continue to be done this way.
No.
That's where innovation comes in.
Social media has been proving that for the last
Amazon,
15 years.
Like so many businesses that come in and change, like Uber being a huge one, Airbnb being a huge one.
How many empty buildings do we see now, and malls that are just empty now because of the change?
Malls aren't going to be around for too much longer.
Yeah.
I hate malls because you can get online 100% the next day exactly what you want. Or you can chase your tail running around the city to not find what you want.
Yep.
So just because something's been done, that comes to diet, that comes to exercise, that comes to business, that comes to technology, it can be changed and no one knows.
Yeah.
So, anything else you want to tie and finish off with?
No, just, you know, if I would say that one thing that I would want to leave anybody with is if you're trying to be, you know, trying to move into a different part of your life, whatever it may be, if you want to start a business, you want to be healthy, whatever it is, you need to get yourself in a room or in a situation where you're around people that are doing that stuff. Like, get involved with something. You want to, you feel really overweight. I know it sounds crazy, but join a running club. I guarantee you, every runner I've met is so nice and so like welcoming.
Yeah.
They will figure out a way to incorporate you in the running club. You know what I mean? Like, just get around those people. You're going to feel weird, you're going to feel awkward, but they're going to be proud of you just for showing up. And you're going to feel proud of yourself after a few weeks for just showing up. Yeah. And all of a sudden, you're just going to feel different. Like, get around those people. You want to be making a lot more money? Who's making a lot of money? I'm sure you can figure it out. Figure out how to get it around those people. You know?
Yeah, it's basically getting out your environment.
Get out of your comfort zone because you're going to get stretched.
Yeah, get out of your comfort zone by getting to a different environment.
You're going to start picking up ideas that you didn't have before. You're going to activate that RAS in a different way and start seeing different opportunities. Your world will start to change.
And a way of doing that is picking up a book too.
Yeah.
You're picking up
if you are in the middle of nowhere and you can't get around anybody, start picking.
But even if you're in town, you're in Vegas, and you can get around people, picking up a book or watching YouTube videos or educating yourself on where you want to go. Hey, it's business, it's marketing, it's Facebook ads, it's weight loss, it's fasting. You can start to learn, and by doing that, you start to see and hear things. And this person does. Like, I was in a coffee shop the other day, and this guy was having a black coffee and a sausage, and I was like, I bet you he does keto.
Yeah.
But if I wasn't doing keto and I wasn't aware of that, I never would have recognized that.
Yeah.
So if I didn't know much about it, that would give me an idea. That would give me an introduction to introduce myself and talk to them about keto.
Yeah.
And that's kind of putting out what you said, isn't it?
Yeah.
Doing something small that leads to something else.
Totally. Just even making an effort, like, you know, booking the appointment, booking the whatever seminar that's going on, like, just book it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, put it on the calendar. Don't just like wishfully hope that something's going to kind of come your way. Like, go make an effort. Like, you find a book you really like email the author. I know it sounds crazy, or find them on social media, send a message. Like, say, thank you, this changed my life, or this really opened my eyes, or whatever. And they might be like, oh, great, thank you. Like, where are you at? Oh, we're going to be here. Like, all of a sudden, just connections start to form, right?
Yeah.
So you got to just schedule the things that, you know, and put yourself in the places that you would like to be a part of.
And then the last thing I kind of want to touch on is, don't wait for validation or approval from anybody.
Yeah.
You're going to be the validation. You're going to be the approval of yourself. And that's all it should matter. Don't not do something because you're worried about someone's opinion. You're waiting for someone else to give you the thumbs up. You're waiting for someone else, hey, I posted this video, I didn't get any likes, therefore I take it down. Like we talked about the other day, didn't we? Yeah. Posting it, did anyone say anything? No. And they probably won't.
Yeah.
But I literally had a guest on the other day with the podcast, and he told me stuff that I had posted that had influenced his life and changed his business. That is the best compliment I could possibly ask for.
Yeah.
Has he ever told me that before? Has he ever commented on anything? No.
Yeah.
But obviously he saw something, he took action, and it helped change his life.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Well, even like I was listening to Gary Vee one time. I was listening, maybe it was one of his books or just something maybe it was like one of his videos. And he's like, the goal is to get you to not listen to me, like just to go.
Well, right? You don't need it. Yeah.
And I really started thinking about that, and I was like, you know what? There comes a point when all these self-help books, and this is just to close out what you're saying, all these things that we're trying to get you, to learn, read books, do all these things, there comes a point where you just have to take the action. Like, you just have to go. You got to shut all that off. You got to put down the books. You got to put down the audio books and go work and go do the thing that you want to do, right? And start making it happen.
Love that. I think that's the perfect close.
Yeah.
All right. See you next time, guys.